morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Uncle Jimmy's podcast. Today we got Mental Health Mondays. To all the listeners out there, you should still talk to your own doctor or therapist for personal treatment. Everything here is general education, not medical advice or therapy. For any serious or persistent mental health issues, listeners should consult a qualified professional. Today's episode number 3, The Stories in Your Head, How Your Thoughts Shape Your Mental Health. This is me, Uncle Jimmy, from Uncle Jimmy's podcast, and today we're stepping into the loudest place in your life, the inside of your own head. In episode 1, we talked about the weight you can't see. In episode 2, we talked about your body and your breath. But now we're going after that, the voice that says, you are not enough. You always mess things up. Nobody really cares about you. Why even try? Today's episode is called The Stories in Your Head. Because sometimes the most dangerous neighborhood is the one between your ears. Your mind as a storyteller. Human beings are storytellers. We don't just experience life, we explain it to ourselves. Something happens and your mind goes to work. They didn't text back. That must mean they don't like me. I messed up at work. That proves I'm a failure. The relationship ended. That proves I'm unlovable. Notice the jump from an event to a story about what that event means. The thing is, your brain is not always telling you the truth. It's telling you a story based on old wounds, old fears, old beliefs. If you don't question those stories, you end up living inside them, like they're facts carved in stone. Most of us have an inner critic, a voice that sounds like the mean teacher, the harsh parent, the bully from middle school, or sometimes our own voice on its worst day. It will say things like, you should have known better. Other people can do it. What's wrong with you? Look at you, always messing up. The critic thinks it's protecting you. If it tears you down first, nobody else can. If it keeps the bar high, maybe you won't get hurt again. But in reality, that voice is slowly burning you out. Imagine talking to a child the way you talk to yourself. You would see the harm right away. So why do we think our soul can survive being talked to like that every day? Thought traps. There are patterns our thoughts fall into, little mental traps. Here are a few. The all or nothing thinking. If I'm not perfect, I'm a failure. If this relationship has problems, it's worthless. Mind reading. They didn't say hi, so they must hate me. My boss looked tired today, so I'm probably getting fired. Fortune telling. This is going to go wrong. I just know it. There's no point trying. Nothing ever works out. And then discounting the positive. 10 good things happen, one bad thing happens. And all you remember is the bad thing. Labeling. I made a mistake becomes I am a mistake. These thought traps feel true, but feelings are not the same as facts. Learning to spot them is the first step toward loosening their grip. Here's a simple 3-step process. Catch the thought. So you want to slow down enough to notice what you're saying to yourself. Write it down if you can. For example, I always screw things up. Then number 2, question it. Ask yourself, is this 100% true or am I exaggerating? What evidence do I have for and against this thought? Have there been times when this wasn't true? You might realize always is a lie. You've done plenty, right? And then replace it. Not with a fake, cheesy affirmation, but with something more honest and balanced. Instead of, I always screw things up, try, sometimes I make a mistake, but I've handled a lot of things well. And I can learn from this one instead of saying, nobody cares about me. Try. Right now, I feel lonely, but there are people who have shown they care, even if I wish they understood me better. You're not pretending everything is great. You're refusing to let the harshest story be the only story. The power of yet. One small word that can change a whole sentence. Yet. I'm not good at managing my money. Yet. I don't know how to set boundaries. Yet. I haven't healed from this trauma. Yet. Yet turns a period into a comma. It reminds your brain that your current state is not your final form. The critic speaks in final judgments. You are, you always, you never. You speak back in process language. I'm learning, I'm trying, I'm growing. That shift is small, but over time, it changes how you see yourself. Where did that voice come from in your head? Whose voices does my inner critic sound like? Sometimes it sounds like a parent who could never be pleased, a coach who thought insults were motivation, a partner who used your insecurities against you, or a culture that told you your body, your skin, your gender, your income made you less than. That voice was learned. If it was learned, it can be unlearned. You don't have to keep carrying someone else's brokenness in your head as your own truth. Talking to yourself like someone you love. I want you all to think of, if you have children or your younger sibling, your best friend, or your younger self as a kid. Imagine that they come home to you and say the exact thing you think about yourself. I'm a failure. I'm ugly. I'm fat. I'm never going to be okay. How would you respond? You wouldn't scream at them. You wouldn't call them names. You wouldn't say, yeah, you're right. You're trash. You'd probably say, no, babe, that's not true. You made a mistake, but that's not who you are. You're more than this moment. You are not used to being on your own side. But mental health is not just about fighting your demons. It's about learning to be a friend to yourself. When thoughts turn dark, everybody, we need to talk honestly. Sometimes the stories in your head take a darker turn. Nobody would miss me. People would be better off without me. I can't do this anymore. If those thoughts show up often or start to feel more like plans than passing feelings, that is a danger zone. This is the point where you must not try to handle it alone. That's when you reach out to a crisis line in your country, 988 here in the States, which is awesome. You can always call or text 24/7, 365. It's always operated. Or you can tell a trusted friend or family member exactly what you're thinking. Contact a mental health professional or emergency services if you're in immediate danger. If you're having suicidal thoughts, does not mean that you are weak or crazy. It means your pain has gone beyond your current coping tools. Asking for help at that point, it is not selfish. It is courageous and necessary. Rewriting the narrative. I want you guys all to write down one painful story you've been telling about yourself. I'm unlovable. I always mess everything up. Underneath it, write 3 pieces of evidence that challenge the story. Times you showed up for others. Times you did something hard. People who choose you, even if things later went wrong. Then write a new story you're willing to try on. I've been hurt, but I'm capable of love and being loved. I made mistakes, but I'm learning and growing, and I've overcome a lot already. You don't have to fully believe the new story yet. You just have to be willing to practice it, like any new language. It feels clumsy at first, but the more you speak it, the more natural it becomes. And we're going to finish up here. And I want everyone to know that you are not your thoughts. Family, this was episode 3, the stories in your head. We talked about how your mind turns events into stories, how the inner critic keeps you small, common thought traps, and simple ways to catch, question, or replace those thoughts. Here's what I want you all to remember. You are not your worst thoughts. You are the one hearing those thoughts. You are the one who can decide which ones get to stay and which ones get to go. So, on the next episode, we're going to be stepping out of your head and into your relationships. You don't heal alone. Will be all about the people around you, community, therapy, friendship, faith, and what healthy support really looks like. Until then, this week, pay attention to your inner narrator. When it starts telling the same old painful story, pause, take a breath, and ask, is this the only way to see myself? Or is there a kinder, truer story I haven't told yet? This is Uncle Jimmy. Be gentle with yourself. You've survived every chapter so far. You are allowed to write the next one differently. Up next, we got Karolina Ross. I hope you guys enjoy it. I just want to say happy Mental Health Monday. And I look forward to Karolina Ross up next. Peace and love, peace and love. On to Karolina. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, where we talk about real healing, real growth, and real ways to live better. Today, I'm truly excited to welcome Karolina Ross to the show. Thank you for joining us. I know you work with tired, overwhelmed moms who are caught in endless shoulds and guilt, always putting everyone else first and themselves last. You help them slow down, practice self-care without pressure, and find real peace through self-compassion, healthy boundaries, and simple routines that actually fit real, messy life. No cookie-cutter plans, no forcing anything, just gentle, doable steps towards calm, confidence, and joy. What makes your work so authentic is that it all comes from your own lived experience. Over 20 years supporting vulnerable adults, including those with mental illness, walking through 2 personal burnouts, and doing your own deep healing journey. Now, as a mom, your mission is clear: to break those unhealthy patterns so your daughter never has to inherit them. While your main focus is on moms and women, you've also worked with men facing the same challenges: lack of boundaries, unhealed trauma, and little self-compassion. What fascinates you most is how men often arrive very practically. I don't talk about stuff, and yet those sessions turn into deep, meaningful, sometimes life-changing conversations. Karolina, your story is honest, powerful, and full of hope. You've turned pain into purpose, and you're here to help others do the same with kindness and no judgment. We're so grateful to have you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
No problem. So we're going to get into 20 heartfelt questions to explore your journey and your gentle, practical wisdom. So let's dive in. Karolina, can you take us back to the moment you first realized you were heading towards your first burnout? What were the early signs that you were ignoring?
So my first burnout was when I was working full-time and my daughter was 2 and my husband was dealing with his own health. So he weren't able to fully be supporting me in my parenting and home life. I was working, I was looking after our daughter, and in a way I was trying to support my husband. And headaches, tiredness, and lots of other stuff was going on with myself, like constant colds, for example, which I couldn't shake off. But I was very proud. You don't ask for help. You carry on and you say, I'm fine. And you plod alone until one day, my fantastic manager at that time took me to A&E one day because I had chest pain. I was 32 back then, and I ended up with suspected heart attack.
Wow.
So that was surreal. That was absolutely surreal. I still didn't acknowledge and refused to accept that this is a burnout.
Yeah.
No, no. So I took some time off because my manager made me to take some time off. I recouped and then, okay, lives go on. And then just before lockdown 2020, I was going through a difficult time at work again. And this time it was the same pattern. So first my body was giving me signs like constant colds I couldn't shake off, constant headaches I couldn't get rid of.
So here
I
come the
started having,
symptoms again.
sorry?
Here comes all the symptoms again from the first time almost.
Yeah, yeah. But this time I was a little bit smarter. And at some point I said, okay, this is not working. I need to do something. And I did go to my GP, to my doctor, and yes, they said, I'm signing off with burnout. And part of me accepted that, but part of me felt really ashamed. Like, how did it happen? I am mental health professional. I help other people to manage their mental health. And here I am. I was really good at giving advice,
Yeah.
but I was terrible at taking my own advice into
Your own
practice.
advice, yeah. Yeah, Carolina, I say it oftentimes myself, right? I've never realized it till, a breakup, decent breakup that I had in September this year, where I'm so
Mhm.
good at taking care of everybody else that I
Yeah.
neglect myself and I can't take care of myself, you know? So what I did was I looked myself in the mirror and I forgave myself and forgave others. And I started on my path of healing, a healing journey where I've realized that I alone cannot save everybody, and I can't pour from an
Yeah.
empty cup, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important, isn't it? This realization that you cannot pour from an empty cup is so important. But just realizing that your cup is empty is so, so difficult and so difficult to accept and acknowledge. And you've said that you've forgiven yourself. And this is self compassion, which we don't practice because we don't know, because no one talks about it, because we are raised in a society where you are expected to forgive others, but not yourself. So the
Exactly.
pressure, the shame, the guilt is because you don't know how to practice self-compassion.
Yeah. It took me
And I
so
had to
long.
learn that.
Yeah, same here. I had to learn it, and it was
Mm,
tough. It was tough because I, I
yeah,
I would say to myself, what am I going to do with the hours in the day now? I have nobody to take care of, but I'm going to take care of myself now, you know.
yeah.
And as a man, I always say it's okay not to be okay, but realize it.
Hmm.
Realize you're not okay. Speak to somebody. Surround yourself with people that you can talk to, where you can have conversations, healthy conversations, in always the answer's not always just to push through, because so often you let things creep into your head and you let it keep going and it fosters and it grows and you just get more upset
Hmm.
and you're hurting yourself mentally, day by
Yeah,
day you keep letting that and I felt so long suffered with pushing everything down, push it down, push it down, push it down, well, you can only push it down until it finally blows, you know
yeah. That's the thing.
and like you
That's the
said,
thing.
it's almost like a hit to your ego almost to have to realize I'm not okay,
Yeah,
but then you say
yeah.
to
Because
yourself, okay, I am okay now. I'm on this path now of recovery, of journey, of well-being, of taking care of myself, which is what it's about.
yeah, yeah. It's really interesting because when I work with men, the first thing they tell me quite often is, "I'm not one for talking."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. You don't have to talk with me if you don't want to, but yet you've decided it was your decision. I didn't force you to talk to me. So
Well,
something made you
you know, to
to
be
talk
here,
to me.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready for this step, I would say start talking to yourself first. Because when you admit with yourself, I'm not okay, then you can decide whether you want to do something about it or not. Quite often people think, I don't have a choice. This is my situation. There is no way out. I have no choice. And I know that a lot of people get really annoyed with me when I say, you do have a choice. Because even if you decided to stay in the situation you are with not doing anything, this is your choice.
Yeah. As long as you're breathing, you have a choice,
Yeah,
you know? And oftentimes, like,
yeah.
like I said, men think that, oh, it's weak to talk. Everything's gonna fix itself out. As a man, you say, it's gonna work out. It will work out. It will work out. It's gonna work out. But I often say, sometimes, when I was going through it, even for me, to get up and to take a shower was a victory.
Yeah.
Small little things that you don't think of, um, when you're going through it. Because mental health can rear its ugly head at any time.
Ill mental health, yes. Because when we talk about mental health is like physical health, yes? You can have
Correct.
ill health or good health. Ill mental health is when yes, you need some support. And what I find quite often is, and I found it with myself when I was recovering from my second burnout, I wanted to do it bam, 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 quickly, two
Yeah.
weeks and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm recovered and I can go back to work and start doing my stuff. Life goes on. But actually, I had to learn because my body made me. I had to learn to stop, to start listening to myself, to my body, to my mind, start naming emotions,
Yeah.
and start taking action related to that emotion, to that physical state of my body. So there were days when I wasn't able to do much, just having a shower and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
But we are taught that if something is very simple, if something is very small, it's worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are aiming for big things. Yeah, you may say shower was really big thing for you and you celebrated that, and some other person may think, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
It's
So
just a
true.
shower.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
even like
not just a
exactly. Even like for me yesterday, a simple, I often live sometimes in chaos, where my room's messy, my TV room's messy, but I like it that way because my mind's just not okay. So yesterday I spent the whole day of cleaning my room, new sheets on the bed, new comforter, folding all my clothes, and my room is spotless. And when I woke up this morning, I could tell you for the first time in a long time, I made my bed. So my room was clean, right? Yesterday I cleaned my room, it's spotless. Today I wake up, right? And I make my bed. But for some people, hey, I make my bed every day. But for me, with my room being clean and it looking good, hey, I made my bed. Those are small steps on, hey, I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my well being and I'm taking care of my environment as well.
Yeah, yeah, because when you think about well-being, when you think about self-care, and this is really important part for me, you look in a holistic way. You don't separate your mental well-being from your physical well-being, from your environmental well-being, because it's like trying to make a soup in three different pots with three different ingredients. If you don't combine them, you don't have a soup. You have
Exactly.
three different dishes.
Yeah.
And this is what I try to teach others. If you don't look at your well being in a holistic way, there's always going to be something that's not working, and you will be blaming yourself. Here I go again. I've done it again. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's not working. Well, it is not working because, yeah, you have carrots in one pot and you have potatoes in another pot.
Exactly. So true. So, Carolina, I know you've shared that perfectionism doesn't exist. It just kills dreams and drains you. How did that
Yeah.
realization hit you? And what was the turning point that helped you let go of it? Perfectionism.
Yeah. My perfectionism was kicking and screaming when I was trying to recover from my burnout, the second burnout, because my perfectionism was like, okay, you're doing everything what they say to you, you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So you should be fine by now. And you're not. What the heck is going on? I had too high expectations of myself. I had too high expectations of the process of recovering. I wanted to control it. My
Yeah, exactly.
perfectionism wanted to control how much, how many days I'm going to be off.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No, exactly. And oftentimes we equate success, right, with hey, I'm out for a couple weeks,
Yeah.
but I got to get back to work because that's my job. And the job's not going to be there when I get back because the place isn't going to exist without me. It can't run without me. And then when we realize that we're, you know, a small cog in the wheel, but for me, realizing that there's life outside of work is the greatest thing for me because I spent years of working 100-hour work weeks, 100 hours a week,
Mhm.
and the money was great. Don't get me wrong, but everything suffered. It was my relationships, my home life, my friendships. And I often say that if you don't have that sweat equity at home, if you're not going to put that in at
Mhm.
home, then you're not going to have anything. So one day I woke
Yeah.
up and my ex-wife, I'm divorced. My ex-wife was gone and nowhere to be found. And, it was almost starting over again, starting fresh.
Yeah.
So for those people out there,
Yeah.
perfectionism just it doesn't exist. You can't be perfect. There's no such thing as it.
There isn't, and it's only killing you and your life and your relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. So Carolina, after 20 years of supporting vulnerable adults, including those with mental illness, how did that work shape your understanding of compassion, both for others and for yourself?
So I thought that I'm very compassionate, that I'm very empathic, and I was proud of it. But I was actually, my thought was misleading me in regards self-compassion that didn't exist. That's why I was the way I was, and that's why I had a burnout. And there is it's really difficult to put all your energy into being compassionate and empathic to other people. But if you don't use it as your tool and you use it as a, well, I have to because that's how I am and I have to do it,
Yeah.
you will burn out. And at some point I found myself experiencing emotional fatigue.
Yeah.
I love working with people, but at that time people were really pitting me off, and that
Yeah.
was a sign for me that there is something not right here. I love my job, I love people I work with. What is it that they pitting me off?
And here you are, doing your job, but the people now are getting to you. And it can happen, believe me. I represent 350 members, and some days are better than others, but some days they really, really can get to you, and they can
Yeah.
stress you out
I
and they can
think
make.
yes, but when you know how to regulate yourself, when you know how to ground yourself, when you know yourself enough to understand, okay, I am not in a good place now. And instead of putting my energy into helping others, this is the time I would benefit from taking that energy and focus on myself, pour my cup so so it's not empty.
Yeah.
You start from a different angle. And I
Yeah.
think that was really that was the turning point. That was my lesson from the burnout, that me first, and it's not selfish.
Selfish.
Me
Yeah.
first, and it's not egoistic. Me first means I can serve others in
Yeah.
the best way I can. Hence, I'm here. Hence, I'm so passionate about it. And hence, I love working with people again. And they don't pit me off anymore because I know how to look after myself.
I was so that's gonna that that's not on my sheet for a question, but Carolina, how long did it take you to realize, me first? How many years did it take you?
It's an ongoing thing. That's another thing going back to perfectionism. When you think about self care, when you think about self development, you really need to understand that this is not one off exercise. It's an ongoing thing because we are humans, we are thinking creatures, and we are complicated creatures. So when you understand that your self care and your self development is a process, long life process, that eases the pressure. And that allows you to appreciate every moment, every milestone, every small step you take towards improving yourself. So my journey started with my second burnout, which was 2019, 2020,
Yeah,
and it's still going. And I'm
exactly.
proud of it. And I'm excited because every step brings something new. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, and that's the biggest thing, and I tell people all the time is that, when you get on this healing journey in life, it's not something you're not gonna be healed in 24 hours, you're not gonna,
Yeah,
and also it's you're not gonna heal yourself just by reading a book or going to a therapist. It's gonna be practicing those small little things daily, whether it's, regulating your emotion, whether it's being able to deal with life stresses as they come at you instead of picking up a bottle
yeah,
or doing drug, it's small little things, but it's also going to be a journey for the rest of your life.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
not
And when you
healed
realize
all of
that
a
self
sudden,
care,
you know?
yeah. So I honestly think that when you realize that self care is all the little steps you do and take every day, all the little things which we take for granted, like I'm talking really go back to basics. Make sure that you eat properly every day, that you don't skip your meals or you eat food that doesn't serve you, that you have plenty to drink, not like water,
Yeah.
that you have enough sleep, that you have enough rest during the day, that you spend 8 hours at work, but after work you have rest and you invest time in your hobbies, in your relationships.
Yeah.
This is going back to basics. This is something that doesn't cost you any money, but it costs you an effort.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. If you sit and wait for motivation to come to you, I'm gonna say good luck with that because it doesn't work that way.
No. It just doesn't come and smack you in the face and then all of a sudden, here you go, you're good to go.
No, because your brain is very smart. Your brain is like, you want to sit here? Let's sit here because it's easier.
Yeah, exactly.
So your job is to hack your brain and say, well, I will sit here after I clean the kitchen.
Exactly.
And your
After I
brain
get
will be like, okay. It's like a teenager, in your head.
exactly. Some days it's like a battle in there, it's I want to do this, but your brain's
Yes.
telling you no. So Carolina, as a mom, what specific unhealthy habits or beliefs from your past were you most determined to break so your daughter wouldn't inherit them?
The one and very important for me was I thought that I deserve love only through my actions
Yeah.
and I deserve rest only through my actions. So in other words, I didn't feel I'm allowed to rest just because.
Yeah.
I was always, okay, I will clean the kitchen, I will make the dinner, I will play with my daughter, I will do my work, da di da di da. And then by the end of the day, I will have 10 minutes for myself because I earned it. And that was absolutely wrong way of thinking. And me thinking, well, if I'm there all the time for my daughter, if I'm there all the time for my husband, iron, clean, cook, wash, I'm perfect wife and they will love me. It doesn't work that way. They still love me
Yeah.
and I think they love me more now because I'm more pleasant person now because I don't snap, because I don't shut myself out, because I am more present
I was just gonna
physically and
say,
emotionally with them.
yeah, I was just gonna say you're probably more present now too. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? Within the last 5 years, since I started my healing journey, I can see how my daughter has already picked all those good behaviors, all those healthy beliefs. She comes home from school and she spends an hour in her room just with herself because at one stage she said, I'm really tired when I come back from school. I need this time for myself. How awesome is that?
That's awesome. And
She
that's one
is
of the
already taking care of herself.
she's taking care of herself. And that's one of the biggest things, like you said. I think people need to realize that, like you said, your daughter comes home from school, she goes into her room, whether she takes a nap or listens to some music, but she's taking care of herself. Like you said, you would come home from work and you would make dinner and you would do the dishes and then reward yourself with 10 minutes to be able to sit. But no, when you get home, if you feel like
Yeah,
sitting for 10 minutes, sit for 10 minutes. Rest, relax. It's okay. You know?
absolutely. We have this, I live in England. So, cup of tea is a thing here, which I couldn't understand at the beginning when I came here first time. Like, we've just started work and you're talking about cup of tea. Come on, people. Work, work, work. But now I do understand. And my me saying time for kappa is a sign for my people in my home. I need some me time. And it's also a sign for my brain. Oh, okay. It's relaxing time now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just 5 minutes, sometimes it's more than 5 minutes. But I know that after that time, I will go and do what I need to do.
No, that's awesome. That's great. So I know you emphasize boundaries as actually cool and not hurtful to others. What's one simple boundary you've set in your own life that made the biggest difference?
I didn't catch the question. Sorry, there was a break.
Oh, no problem. So you emphasize boundaries as actually cool, not hurtful to others. What's one simple boundary that you've set in your own life that made the biggest difference?
Okay. My cup of tea is one of the boundaries. It's a boundary for me. It's a boundary for the outside world. Me saying me first. I need time for myself. But also, I realized that I used to be such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So I was saying yes to loads of things which I didn't want to do. I just did them because I thought, well, if I don't do it, they will feel offended or upset or whatever.
Yeah.
And setting boundaries is not easy. It's a very difficult process, especially if no one taught you how to do it.
Yeah.
But what I've learned was when I say no in a polite, respectful way, people don't get offended.
Yeah.
People didn't start avoiding me or saying that I'm a rude person and they didn't want to do anything with me because I said no. People started being more respectful, actually. So even at work, I used to be one of those people who would take more than others. And then I would get peed off with my colleagues thinking, why do I have to do more than you do? And we're paid the same money. Well, I was doing it to myself. I was angry at my colleagues, but deep down I was angry with myself because I didn't know how to set boundaries. And the moment I said to my manager, well, I'd love to help you with that, but at the moment I don't have capacity to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I can look into it next week. My manager was fine with it. I was, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yeah. Because I think
The work
oftentimes that
goes on.
the work goes on. And that was one of my biggest things, learning to say no and setting
Hmm.
boundaries. Two things I've never done in my life before: say no and set boundaries. So I'm learning those as we go as well. So,
Yeah.
Carolina, sorry about that. Many mums, right, feel like self care has to be
Mhm.
big and luxurious. What's your favorite, gentle,
Yeah.
doable routine that fits into chaotic real life?
I have a lot. I have a lot. But I would say my cup of tea.
Your cup of tea. Yeah. So
My cup of tea because
does your husband and daughter know when you're having your tea that that's your time, not to come and bother and not. That's awesome.
yes,
Yep.
yes,
That's your time.
yes. And it's also a sign for my brain and my body to relax. I trained my body and mind. When I hear it's time for cup of tea, my body and mind know that this is me time.
Yeah.
This is relaxation time. And it's really simple way. Well, I'm sure you've heard about mindfulness. And a lot of people think that meditation and mindfulness requires you to sit in a lotus position for 10, 20 minutes and think about nothing. For some it works. For me it didn't. So I found my own way how to do it. And my cup of tea is my mindfulness and my meditation moment. I use my senses, like what do I see? My
Yep.
colorful cup. What do I feel? A warm liquid in the
Yeah.
cup. What do I taste? I'm drinking peppermint tea.
Yep.
What can I see? What can I hear? You
Yeah.
use your senses without forcing this, again, perfect picture of practicing mindfulness or meditation.
Yeah.
And can take only 5 minutes, but you will see how your body and your mind relaxing and the stress is going down and your nervous system is resetting without big ooh-ha.
Yeah. Yeah. Because often people will think like, oh, mental health day and I'm going to go to the spa and I'm going to get a massage and that's all going to relax me. But to me, that's more of like, okay, I'm going to go to a spa. Some strange person's going to give me a massage and rub me. And to me, that's not relaxing. Or, to me, relaxing is sitting in my car, having my cup of coffee, looking at the ocean. I'm down
Yeah,
here,
exactly. Exactly.
I'm down here at the local beach,
Going
Tinian
back
Beach, watching, just watching the water as we do this.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to basics, that's what I keep telling people. You really don't need a lot of expensive, luxurious things to feel better. And
Yeah.
the more simple things you have, which you can incorporate during your day, the better. Because if you're waiting for your annual leave to go on holiday, or you're waiting for a weekend to have a spa or a massage, fair enough, it's not for everyone. And I'm not saying don't do it, because it's an extra nice thing you can do for yourself. But if you don't do things on a daily basis for yourself,
Yeah.
which you've already mentioned, your nervous system is going to be like, fist really tight,
Yeah.
and it's not going to work. Massage is not going to solve your problems, because if you don't know how to set boundaries, if you don't know how to name your emotions, if you don't know how to be compassionate to yourself, this is not going to work.
Yeah. And you need to practice those daily routines. They're not just monthly routines or bi-weekly routines, they're daily routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Carolina, you mentioned creating space for people to talk, reflect, cry, laugh, or even curse. How do you hold that safe, non-judgmental space during sessions?
It's a really good question. You made me speechless. I think I'm an introvert. I'm a highly sensitive person. So I think creating safe, non-judgmental space is one of my strengths, like natural strength. I don't think about it. I just do it. It's like we're having conversation now, and I'm hoping that you feel that we're having conversation, that I'm not judging you, and I'm creating space for you to ask me questions and to be open about your own experience, which I truly appreciate.
Yeah. I think we both have to be vulnerable on that part, where you have to be open, and be able to share, whether
Yeah.
it's, my own challenges in life and yours as well.
Yeah. I think, being authentic and not pretend. I'm not pretending. There are people who, when they hear, or someone is a coach or someone is a counselor or psychologist, this is just a label.
Exactly.
I'm a human being just like you.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah. And
had my own experiences, and if you allow me, I will share them with you. If you don't want me to, I will just listen to yours.
yeah. And the biggest thing there is that you're there to coach and help through your own lived journey, through your own lived experiences, and almost trying to teach those, hey, this is what sent me to my first burnout. This is what sent me to my second burnout. So trying to help those avoid, what you went through so they don't have to go through.
Yes, but I don't share my experience until I have been given permission to do it.
Yeah.
Because what I believe is you have your own experience, you have your own toolbox, and you have your own way of dealing with things. And
Yeah.
my job as a coach is to help you to unpack what works for you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, this worked for me, so do that.
Yeah.
This is not my style. I will be digging, I will be helping you to dig what is it, what tools you have that you could use, or what other tools you could think of which you haven't that could help you. But I'm not going to tell you this worked for me, so do that.
Yeah. And
That's not my style.
I think that
Yeah,
goes back.
I'm really passionate about people understanding that cookie cutter approach is not my approach.
I
Each
was
of
just going
us
to say
is
that.
different. Each of us is unique. Each of us is wise enough to get there wherever you want to get. And if you're open to other people to help you to get there, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say to you, when you were answering that's one of the things I had read about you. There's no cookie cutter approaches, so it's not, "Hey, this is my experience. Don't do this, don't do that." Because I've been to many therapists that would say to me, Well, in my experience, I've done it this way and it didn't work. And I've found that talking to many guests that I've had on, many people in life, what works for one, may not work for another. And the biggest thing you mentioned was
Yeah.
showing people what they have available in their own toolbox to use to help themselves, because I often feel like sometimes
Yeah,
I had no tools in my toolbox.
we all have tools. You
Yeah.
may think that you don't have any tools,
Yeah.
or you may have tools that they don't serve you anymore, but you still
Yeah.
have tools.
So,
Yeah. And the cookie
Carolina,
cutter,
yep.
sorry. So the cookie cutter was really important for me because when I was recovering from my burnout, I was following all the advices out there. It helped me, so it's going to help you.
eh,
And I was doing that at the beginning. And instead of feeling better, I felt worse and worse and worse and more peed off with myself for not
Yeah.
moving forward. And that's when I realized, okay, this is not working for me because I'm in a different place. I have different situation and I have different experiences.
Yeah, and that goes for everybody, Like we said, just because it works for one, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work for,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Carolina, how do you help clients move from guilt about putting themselves first to seeing it as essential for showing up better for their families and themselves?
Very slowly, step by step. I'm very passionate about ditching shoulda, woulda, coulda from your dictionary because that language put pressure on you.
Yeah.
It's a shaming language. I should do this. I should feel grateful because. And instead of feeling better, you put pressure on yourself, you put guilt, shame, and you cannot move forward. So the first step is I challenge people with their language, the way you talk to yourself, whether you talk to yourself, how you talk to yourself, how often you use should, how often you abuse yourself by saying, oh, you stupid,
Yeah. And that's,
or
like
oh, you haven't done it again.
yeah. Or here we go again.
Yeah,
So one of my biggest things I do now is in the morning is when I wake up, if I'm feeling any negative energy, any negative talk, I let it out first thing in the morning. I let it go. And then I repeat a little mantra every morning. It changes. I say it about 10 or 12 times. Today's gonna be a great day. Today's gonna be a great day. And I put that positive, so I let the negative energy out and bring the positive energy in. And that's one thing that's helped me,
yeah,
get through the day.
yes. I have two. One is when I wake up, this is the first thing I do in the morning, which is I am safe, I am loved, I am healthy, I live with ease.
Yeah.
And the second, which I share with my clients very often, is I am enough, I do enough, I have enough.
That's awesome. That might be my new one right there.
And that, honestly, that helps to ease the pressure you put on yourself. That helps to remind you that whatever you're doing at the moment is enough. And you are enough the way you are.
Yeah.
Here and
I've
now, this is enough.
Carolina, that's one of the biggest things I've always struggled with is, am I enough? I always feel like I'm never enough, whether it's in relationships, sometimes at work, that I'm never enough, that I'm not doing enough, that I'm not putting in 100%, and that's one of the things I've recently
Right.
started changing of, realizing that I am enough.
Yeah. Are you open to try something? So I used to do it when I was recovering from my burnout, and now I do it with my daughter every evening. Is write down all the positive things that happened to you during the day.
Yeah.
Think about what are my highlights of the day, and do it every day. Just
Yeah.
three things that made your day more fun or enjoyable.
Enjoyable. Yeah.
But when you doubt in your enoughness, I would encourage you to write down every day for 5 minutes all the positive things about yourself,
Yeah.
what you do for yourself, what you do for other people. Because when you see it black on white or blue on white, depending what kind of paper you're using, your brain will start seeing evidence. When you say to yourself, oh, I've done this and this and this, your brain will be trying to sabotage it by saying, well, yeah, you've done it, but you
Yeah.
haven't done this and that. When you put everything, what you've done on the paper, your brain is like, okay, this is hard evidence of what you've done.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something I'll try. I'll definitely start doing that today. I'm always looking for other tools to add to my toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah. So give it a go and let me know how you found it.
Definitely. So, a couple more questions before we end. So, for men listening who feel
Mhm.
similar pressures but don't talk about stuff, what's one small, low pressure step you'd invite them to try?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? It
Yeah, no
breaks
problem.
up sometimes.
Okay, no problem. So, for men listening who feel similar pressures but don't talk about stuff, what's one small, low pressure step you'd invite them to try?
I would say start being honest with yourself.
That's the
Be
biggest
honest
step,
with
I think.
yourself. Admit to yourself. Yeah. Admit to yourself, I'm feeling shitty.
And it's okay not to be
And
okay.
then ask yourself, and that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely true. I'm feeling shitty because, or I'm feeling shitty. I don't know why, because that happens. Sometimes you don't know why you feel the way you feel.
Yep.
And that's normal. That's okay. And when you realize that, okay, I am feeling shitty, do I want to do something about it? Do I want to talk about it with somebody, or do I want to have a conversation with myself
Yeah.
first? And if you decide that talking to somebody is not the right time, have a conversation with yourself. And pen and paper is a good tool.
Yeah.
Pen and paper is really good tool because you can write down anything what's on your mind, and then you can tear it off, burn it, or you can share it with somebody.
Yeah.
You can write a letter. If you're not good at expressing your feelings and emotions, but you feel okay with sharing a letter or what you've written down with somebody, do it.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest
But
things for
first of
me.
all, be honest with yourself.
One of the first things for me was realizing that I am in the shit. Do I, and then my
Hmm.
options were, do I want to stay in the shit? Do I want to roll in the shit? Or do I want to get out of the shit? You know,
Yeah.
and not going to lie, some days I
Yeah,
rolled.
it's really important because yeah, and it happens. It happens to me. It happens to everyone. And like I say, shit happens,
Yeah,
and it will happen because that's life, and it's okay. But it's not okay if you make yourself comfortable.
exactly.
Because when you make yourself comfortable in shit, you forget that it smells.
Exactly.
You forget that is unpleasant, and you just drown in it like in a sinking sand.
So,
It's your
two more.
choice.
Yeah, your choice. So, two more questions. If someone is in the thick of overwhelm
Yeah.
right now and can only do one tiny thing today, what would you suggest?
I would suggest take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath and make yourself a cup of tea. That's
So
enough. And remind yourself, you're enough.
that you are enough, exactly. Last question, and Carolina, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we have this new segment now on Mondays where it's going to be mental health Mondays, and you're going to be the second.
I am still here. Technology,
So frustrating.
it happens. You cannot control. Just accept what you cannot control and make your life easier.
Okay, so we got it. Maybe yep. So hold on.
Ah.
Sorry. So what's one message you'd want every tired, guilt-ridden mom and dad to hear today?
You are enough. You do enough. You have enough.
Perfect. So, Carolina, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and sharing your story so openly. Your work is a lifeline, gentle, real, and full of the compassion we all need. You've turned your own challenges into something beautiful that helps others find their way back to themselves. To every mom and dad listening who's carrying the weight of should-haves, would-haves, and could-haves, and the guilt and exhaustion, you're not alone, and you are worthy of care. Carolina's gentle steps remind us that healing doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be kind. Carolina, thank you for your wisdom, your vulnerability, and your mission. It has been an absolute honor. Folks, if this episode touched you, reach out to Carolina. Check her out on LinkedIn or Life Coach Directory. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to Uncle Jimmy's podcast, share with someone who needs it, and remember, take care of yourself first so you can give from a full cup. Karolina, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for having me today. And honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story as well. And I would say to every man out there, being vulnerable is the best thing you can do to yourself and the people you love.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rewarding once you start opening up and talk. The weight of the world almost comes off your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so
By
much,
looking after
Karolina.
yourself, you're giving example to your children.
Thank you. Peace and love. Peace and love. Uncle Jimmy out.